All right, we don't have the mics because I'm an idiot, Glyn, and I forgot them at home. But we are on the field here in the immediate aftermath of Southern Miss 42, Jacksonville State 25. I want to give this man picked, what was your final score? 41-24?
Yeah.
It was 42-25.
I saw it in
the
a dream.
football expert.
It was in a
Glyn
dream.
Dyar. The football expert, Glyn Dyar, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways, that's Glyn Dyar with 247 Sports. I'm just Dima Mixon, not an expert. Apparently doesn't know anything about football, unfortunately. But we did watch a really good game tonight from the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. Really, Glyn, the final score is 40-25. They really dominated this game from the start to finish. There was never a moment of the game where you thought Jacksonville State had any chance to win. It was just dominant from a defensive side of the ball, which we'll talk about in a minute, which, I thought the defense was great. It's hard to say that they had their best game of the season when they gave up 390 yards. A lot of that was in the second half, kind of garbage time scores. Coach Huff kind of talked about that in the post-game press conference, but we'll get to that in a minute. But I want to first talk about the offense. Started the game, and coming into the game, Glyn, I thought that they had a real advantage on the outside, and I thought Braylon was able to get involved with his receivers. But you know what they did? They just pounded the rock and just ran the ball. Pittman had a great day. I thought the other running backs looked good. Matt Jones, Jalen Carter, all of them looked really, really good on the ground tonight.
Yeah, the thought last week is when we initially talked to Coach Huff, and you could see he was pissed off about not having his guys not being ready to play. I had a strong feeling, being who he is, that he was gonna hit that home all week long, and they were not going to be that team again. And in fact, they were going to be a team with a chip on their shoulder. That's why I felt so good about predicting that. I expected them to come out and dominate this football game the way they did. They were more physical. They played like they had a point to prove. Ran the ball in between the tackles. I saw several instances when their defensive linemen were on their backs and our guys standing over. And that's getting in their kitchen a little bit. I expected that to happen.
Yeah, it was a completely different team than what we saw in Ruston, Louisiana. And Coach Huff said in the post-game press conference that there weren't enough bleeps, is his quote, to say what was said in the team meeting that occurred on Sunday after the game. But he said he saw the best week of practice. And Southern Miss really showed that on the field tonight. Went up 7-0 with a nice strip sack there from
J.J.
Hawkins. Sorry, I lost his name there. J.J. Hawkins with a strip sack. Southern Miss put it in the end zone, forced a punt, went right back down the field and scored again. Went up 14-0 right there. And from really that point on, there was never a moment where I really thought Jacksonville State had a chance to get back in the game. They did drive it at the aided by a penalty, got it all the way down to the 1. I think it was a fumble. They got it somehow down to the 1. Southern Miss got a turnover on downs there on the 4th down play, and from then on it was kind of like there's just no chance that Jacksonville State can
the
get in this
fourth
game.
quarter, you didn't even have to play it. It gives you an opportunity to get some of your second team guys some meaningful snaps. That's a plus.
Yeah, let's talk about the defense, Glyn. So I asked Coach Huff, and Coach Huff said in the beginning of the season that he was asked about being the nasty bunch or whatever, and he said in the beginning of the season that he did not think that that term should be applied to this team. They have to earn it.
Right.
And so I asked him, I said, through 5 games, have they earned it? They give up a lot of yards. That's just true. They do give up a lot of yards. They gave up a lot of yards tonight. Now, a lot of that was in the second half, of course. But when they need to step up, Glyn, they step up. And 4 turnovers tonight really bottled down a really good Jackson State rushing attack. I wrote it down, and I don't know if this was exactly the final stats because I know that they had several yards at the end of the game when I was on the field. Caden Creel for Jacksonville State, 21 carries, 162 yards and a touchdown. Well, he had 177 yards and a touchdown, and I think their total yards for the game was 390. So what is that, 140 yards for the rest of the team? So
Right, and then they come into this game, their running back, number 3 in the country.
220.
He's gouged 3 different teams for over 140 yards, and averaging 6 yards a carry. And I'm sure they came in this week saying, let's stop the run and make them a one-dimensional team, make them have to throw the football. They did that. They couldn't throw the football on our guys. Our DBs could have manned up on those guys all night and been fine. I wasn't worried about them. I felt they'd get in the box and handle them up front and stop that run. And they held the running back to like 84 yards, I think, and 3.6 yards per carry, something to that effect, when he had been averaging 6 yards a carry. Once they made them one-dimensional,
3.5 yards a carry,
Yeah,
83 yards in 22 attempts.
Yeah, that was the goal, because they don't have the arm talent or the speed outside to beat us over the top. So.
And that was what we previewed. That's exactly how we thought the game was going to go. We thought that they might bring a safety down, which I think they did sometimes in the game.
And like Michael Montgomery said too, it was a very simple game plan, and they executed it. And being simple just gives you the ability to play fast and not have to think.
So they executed the game plan to a T. The defense did, and it really, again, and I keep going back to this, but I think it's very important to note that, like, I mean, this team that they displayed tonight on this field, and then they displayed 2 weeks ago against App State, this team, Glyn, could beat anybody in the Sun Belt.
Yeah,
I mean, nobody in the Sun Belt scares you, I don't think.
Yeah, and if this team goes to Ruston last week with the same fervor, they win that football game.
And even with how bad they played, I mean, if they would have just converted on the red zone a couple of times, they would have probably still been right there at the end.
Yeah, and back to the message. Last week I got so frustrated watching Braylon putting the ball in the air when he didn't have to do it. He's such a great athlete. Just tuck it and be you. And tonight he did that at certain times, and I think that moves the chains, kept drives going. I mean, touchdown run.
12 attempts for 62 carries, 62 yards.
That's his greatest asset.
Bread and butter. 13 to 22, 152 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not a lot of downfield passing tonight. I thought they opened that up a little bit more in the second half. First half, I think they only had like 12 attempts in the first half. They were able to open it up a little bit more. I will say Glyn got his bold prediction pretty much. He nailed it. He said that Jeffrey Pittman was going to have a great night. He did. 18 carries, 82 yards, 2 touchdowns. So it was really good to see him back in the lineup. But Glyn, I thought the other two running backs, Matt Jones and Jalen Carter, looked exceptionally well, especially towards the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably foolish of me, but I do a lot of foolish stuff. So I was watching Carter toward the end of the game, and I thought, he may be pound for pound in total package. Doesn't have the experience yet, but in terms of just an all-around back, feet, vision, burst, he might be the most complete back they have. And I hate to put that on him here. We'll revisit that toward the end of the season, but I guess my point is they got a freshman gem in Carter at running back.
No doubt. He looked really good. Southern Miss, they have the bye week next week. Then they go on the road to Georgia Southern, which I think when we came into the season, we thought that game at Georgia Southern would be tough with what they were bringing back, what they did last year. Only a game behind Marshall to get into the Sun Belt Tournament championship. Glyn, that game doesn't seem as scary now. And then you go on the road to UL the next week, who lost their quarterback. They just looked terrible. The next 2 road games seem winnable for the Golden Eagles, who would, then be in a contention to really achieve the things they want to do this season. And they have a bye week to prepare for.
I was thinking that too, but, the first thing that came up on my mind with that is what they did on the road last time. Weren't really ready for it. They got a scolding. They got it together on the practice field. They came out and did it at home. I want to see him take that to somebody else's backyard and play like that. That's going to be the big test for him. Because going over to Georgia Southern, that's a long trip. And,
very long trip.
Yeah.
But thank you all for watching. In the immediate aftermath of 42-25, Southern Miss over Jacksonville State. Southern Miss is 3-2, a winning record heading into October for the first time, Glyn, since 2019. Winning record for the Golden Eagles. In 2022, they were 2-2. So thanks for watching. Even if you're the head coach, thanks for watching. We will see you on. Actually, we don't know if there will be a video Tuesday because we don't know the practice and press conference schedule for the bye week. We will let you know. But thanks for watching in the immediate aftermath of 42-25. That's Glyn Dyar on 247 Sports. Go follow all of his great coverage. He does just a tremendous job covering the team. I'm just Dima Mixon. If you want to read my terrible writing, you can go to hubcityspokes.com. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you sometime in the near future, Glyn.
Amen. And I can predict that we will not lose next weekend.
That's right. It's bye week.
Strong.
Yes, and we can shout out to Coach Huff for that. The running back for the bye week is just going to have a great day.
Right.
Thank y'all for watching. See you soon.